Frederick was driving on a deserted road, surrounded by dense forests, when he suddenly saw a small figure on the side of the road. At first, he thought it was just a wild animal, but as he got closer, he realized it was a Labrador. What surprised him was that the dog was standing still, its eyes looking at him as if waiting for something. Being an animal lover, Frederick couldn't ignore this scene. He slowed down and stopped the car, rolling down the window to take a closer look. There was no sign of anyone around, no houses, no cars, just the sound of the wind blowing through the trees and the dog's expectant eyes. This made him wonder, why is a dog in such a desolate place? Is it lost or abandoned? Asterisk, asterisk. The dog approached the car, putting its front paws up to the door as if to attract his attention. Frederick noticed that it was wearing a large collar, but no tag or owner's contact information. Curiosity and compassion aroused, he wondered if he should take it to safety. But before he could decide, the dog turned and walked slowly away, occasionally looking back as if to lead the way. Frederick now realized that this was not just a stray dog. It seemed to want him to follow. Frederick now realized that this was not just a stray dog, it seemed to want him to follow. Frederick looked at the Labrador standing in front of his car. It was wearing a large collar, but when he looked closely, he saw no identification tags or contact information. This made him wonder, was it lost, or had someone intentionally abandoned it? He opened the car door, leaned down, and patted it, hoping to lead it to safety. The dog had no intention of getting in. Instead of jumping in, it took a few steps back, then looked at Frederick with a meaningful look. Then it turned and walked away slowly, but every few steps it stopped and turned its head to look at him, as if to make sure he was following. It was clear that it was more than just a stray dog. It had a purpose. Frederick hesitated for a moment, but his curiosity grew. Finally, he decided to step out of the car and follow the dog's footprints, not knowing that what awaited him would change his life forever. Frederick walked slowly behind the Labrador, full of curiosity. The path led him into the dense forest, where the tall trees blocked the sunlight. The leaves rustled under his feet. The air gradually became colder, but the dog continued to move forward without hesitation. As the distance between him and the dog got closer, Frederick decided to check the collar. He gently held it, hoping to find an identification tag or a tracking device to identify the owner. But instead of the tracking device he had expected, he discovered a small recording device hidden inside. This surprised him greatly. Why would a dog carry a recording device? What was it recording? And who put this on its collar? A series of questions appeared in his mind, but there were no answers. Looking into the dog's eyes, Frederick felt like it was trying to convey some kind of message. Unable to contain his curiosity, he decided to continue following it, despite the growing feeling of unease in his heart. After Frederick discovered the recording device in the dog's collar, he began to feel anxious and couldn't help but wonder about its purpose. However, curiosity still urged him to continue following the dog deeper into the forest. Their footsteps gradually moved further away from the familiar area, and the atmosphere in the forest seemed to become more and more tense. When he began to feel that he had gone too far, Frederick decided to turn back and find a way out. He turned around, intending to head back towards the old path. But at that moment, the dog suddenly stopped and started barking fiercely. The barking echoed throughout the forest, as if warning him of something dangerous. The loud barking startled Frederick and made him panic. Feeling uneasy, he quickly turned around and ran forward, hoping to find a way out. However, after a few minutes of running around in panic, he realized that he couldn't find his way back. All around were the same trees, with no signs to help him identify his location. He was lost in the woods. A great fear gripped him at the thought of not being able to get out in time. The dog stood still, watching him, as if witnessing Frederick's confusion. In the midst of his confusion and helplessness, Frederick suddenly saw a small wooden house hidden in the woods. It was the only place that seemed to be inhabited. He hurriedly walked towards the house, hoping to find help. As he got closer, he discovered that the house had a weak Wi-Fi network, and he immediately connected to it to try to call for help. Frederick's heart pounded as he tried to make a phone call to contact the authorities. However, as he was about to send a distress signal, a strange sound from inside the house startled him. He realized that he was not in a safe place. A group of people might be inside, and they had detected his presence. Immediately, a feeling of fear filled Frederick, and he felt like he had been discovered. Footsteps quickly sounded from behind, and he knew he had no time left. Without thinking much, he hurriedly ran away, but knew that he was being chased, and things would become more dangerous. While Frederick was running from a group of strangers in the woods, he finally received help. The police arrived just in time, and they quickly surrounded the area around the cabin. After Frederick shared the story of the dog and the strange events he had experienced, the police began investigating. Surprisingly, they discovered that the Labrador was not a stray, but was part of an illegal hunting operation. The dog had been used to participate in these activities, possibly to monitor and record sounds from the illegal hunting area. After clarifying everything, the police took the dog and took it to a safe place. They found a new home for it, where it would be properly cared for and raised, no longer abused for wrongful purposes. Frederick was relieved to know that the dog was freed from danger and had the opportunity to start a new, loving life. After the dog was rescued from being exploited in illegal hunting activities, Frederick felt relieved and hopeful. He believed that the dog deserved a better life, a safe and loving place where it would no longer have to endure evil and bad things. With all that it had been through, Frederick hoped that the dog would never have to return to a life filled with danger and abuse. He hoped that with the help of the police and caring people, the dog would be cared for, loved, and live in a truly safe home. It deserved to enjoy its peaceful days, without the fear of being exploited or used for criminal purposes. Frederick felt proud that he was able to help the dog, and he hoped that it would find a new family who would love and care for it as a real member. He believes this is a new beginning, not only for the dog but also for its life, a life full of happiness and freedom.